In this video, I'll provide details on the Microsoft for Startups dedicated GPU cluster benefit and how to get started with your first reservation. To start off, what is the Microsoft for Startups dedicated GPU cluster? The cluster is comprised of 496 NVIDIA A100 GPUs. These are configured as 62 Azure Machine Learning NDM A100 V4 virtual machines with 8 GPUs each. This capacity pool of Azure Machine Learning Compute is currently available exclusively for select startups in the Azure Italy North region. It's available for training, fine-tuning, and batch inference tasks by reservation, each reservation lasting between 1 and 30 days. Usage is charged at Azure public pay-as-you-go rates and can be paid for with your Microsoft Founders Hub sponsorship credits. The motivation for this benefit is to provide startups access to dedicated GPUs by reservation for price-performant AI training and batch inference to accelerate startup proof of concepts. The Azure NDM A100 V4 VMs are designed for high-performance AI training, generative inference, and HPC workloads. Each instance features 8 NVIDIA A100 GPUs with 80 gigabits of GPU memory each, connected with PCIe Gen 4 connectivity for rapid, low-latency instance data transfer. The GPUs are networked together on the instance by NVLink for scaling up application performance during ML training with up to 450 gigabits per second throughput per GPU. InfiniBand network cards enable efficient multi-node horizontal scaling up to 1.6 terabytes per second per VM and up to 2.8 exaflops per second of peak AI performance. Also of note is the 1.9 terabytes of local container memory and up to 6.4 terabytes of local storage on the instance, which provides significant room for datasets, training artifacts, and checkpoints. As of presenting, these instances are priced at about $41 an hour at public pay-as-you-go rates in Italy North. The Azure ND A100 VMs sit within the Azure N series of GPU accelerated VM family that is purpose-built for AI and HPC workloads. Outside of their dedicated startup GPU cluster offering, Azure provides a complete range of additional GPU accelerated instances from providers such as NVIDIA and AMD. After the GPU cluster, startups can access other SKUs like the NCH100s, A100s, A10s, and T4s for ongoing inference needs. Raise a quota request in the Azure portal and work with your startup account team, or email preferredsup@microsoft.com on resource planning to secure the quota you need. In 2024, 90-plus startups have utilized the cluster for everything from fine-tuning open source models, such as Llama 3, Phi 3, to training novel foundational models for next-gen speech translation, AI research, image captioning, multimodal text-to-video and audio generation, robotics control, to chemical and molecular prediction, and de novo molecule generation for therapeutics. For example, Sync Labs of Y Combinator Winner 24 built a near real-time speech translation model that was featured by Y Combinator partners. Snorkel AI's research team utilized the GPU cluster benefit for cutting-edge direct policy optimization fine-tuning experiments on its way to achieving the top ranking on the Alpaca Eval 2.0 LLM leaderboard. Applied ML engineers at Weights and Biases Japan used the GPU cluster to bootstrap the creation of Korean language LLM benchmarks. And the ML team at Healthy AI used the GPU cluster to train and fine-tune their production models for diagnostic and preventative healthcare. My key takeaway here for you is both early stage and late stage startups are accelerating the development of their leading AI applications on the Microsoft for Startups dedicated GPU cluster. Microsoft for Startups is excited to provide this dedicated GPU access benefit to you and support you building AI applications in the future with it. So how can you access the dedicated GPU cluster benefit? Upon signing up for Founders Hub, signing the program agreement, and redeeming the Azure credit offer, eligible startups will automatically begin receiving weekly emails that contain a request form from the mfsdepthops@microsoft.com email alias to make reservations for the GPU cluster. If you're not receiving these weekly emails, please reach out to preferredsup@microsoft.com or email your startup advisor or startup development manager. It's important to note the shared responsibility model for the GPU cluster and your responsibilities when using this benefit. You're expected to run your Azure Machine Learning compute workloads in the Italy North Azure region. You will kick off usage within 48 hours of your reservation. If you encounter blockers during your time, reach out to your account team in mfsdepthops@microsoft.com to modify your reservation. You can pay for your usage of the GPU cluster with your Founders Hub sponsorship credits at pay-as-you-go rates. If you exceed your sponsorship credit balance, you are responsible for paying the charges at the same rates. To estimate your charges, you can use the Azure pricing calculator. There's a predefined estimate available at aka.ms/startup GPU cluster billing that is linked on the slide. You can view and track your Founders Hub credit balance in the Founders Hub portal or using the Azure sponsorships portal linked on the slide. Lastly, you're responsible for spending down your Azure Machine Learning compute cluster as your reservation time nears its end to release your compute and cease charges. You'll receive an email reminder 24 hours prior to your reservation end to spin down the cluster. If you would like additional time added to your reservation, you should still spin down your compute and apply for another reservation. The Microsoft for Startups Founders Hub team is hard at work to continuously improve the GPU cluster experience. Stay tuned for self-service reservations for the GPU cluster in the Founders Hub portal and the ability to view your credit balance and utilize Azure cost management tooling directly in the Azure portal by the end of 2025. So where does the Microsoft for Startups GPU cluster fit within the broader Azure AI stack? Taking a step back, the Microsoft for Startups GPU cluster is part of the broader Azure AI stack, which integrates over 17 products into Azure AI Studio to help developers build, deploy, and operate AI applications. This stack includes cutting-edge models, APIs, and a complete AI toolchain with responsible AI practices built in for rapid prototyping and deployment. In Azure AI Studio, you can start exploring and experimenting with services like Azure OpenAI, Azure AI Search, and the Model Catalog. Startups on the GPU cluster that have previously started with the Model Catalog, which allows fine-tuning and deployment of models from Hugging Face, NVIDIA, and partners like Mistral and Microsoft Research. Other startups have opted to build custom models and benchmark against and use Azure AI services for other parts of their application, such as GPT-4 and GPT 3.5 Turbo, and Azure AI speech and vision models. For instance, one startup's used Azure AI speech for translation in their pre-processing pipeline, instead focusing on a custom model that became part of a custom healthcare chatbot. Azure Machine Learning provides a full lifecycle toolchain for grounding models with your data, orchestrating workflows, and fine-tuning models. Within Azure Machine Learning, PromptFlow offers tools for creating production AI applications with models, prompts, Python code, and search indexes all together. The GPU cluster sits on high-performance Azure AI infrastructure managed through Azure Machine Learning. My key takeaway for you here is that the Azure AI stack of models, tools, and services is available to you to help you maximize your time building on the cluster. In the next videos, we'll cover how to get help with the Microsoft for Startups dedicated GPU cluster, and then take a closer look at the Azure Machine Learning Platform service to deepen our understanding of how to build on the cluster.